Welcome to the World Ninja Athlete Games for 2026. We had an amazing year in 2025. We had some of the fastest times, set a lot of new world records. But as it gets tighter and faster, and athletes are getting better at this course, we need to tighten up the rules. So we want to get real specific with the rules, why they were designed the way they were, and we're going to go over all the individual rules and then run the whole course so you understand as much detail as we can. So first, the concept of World Ninja Athlete Games came about when we were approaching Olympic interest. We wanted to find out what it takes to get into the Olympics with our ninja obstacle sport. The number one key was you have to be in 75 countries. Your sport has to be active in 75 countries. So we thought, how do we do that? And that's where we created World Ninja Athlete Games. We reached out to many, many countries. We've had over 25 countries part of World Ninja Athlete Games over the years. The way we came up with the obstacles, we noticed a lot of countries didn't have a big variety of obstacles. So we reached out to all the countries, including USA, and said, what are the most common obstacles you have? And basically the course is exactly how that came out. All the combination of all the different gyms that sent in their obstacles, what they all have. This is how we came up with it. So that way, everybody across the world can participate. So the idea is the course is meant to be as identical as possible across the world. Obviously, every gym is a little bit different, but we need to do as much as we can to keep it the same. To do the same course, you can't have variances. As an example, you have a rope climb. We don't want to have multiple rope climbs. You have one rope climb. So every gym has one rope climb. If one gym has two rope climbs and another gym has two PVCs, and the other ones only have one, the course is no longer the same. So we need to make sure that every gym is according to the rules, just using one of each of these obstacles. Only one obstacle for each of the course items, but also keep in mind that an athlete can also only do the course one time, officially scored. We did have a few athletes that were trying to go to multiple competitions, which is fine for practice. You can practice as much as you want. That's the beauty of this course. Set it up for a full year and practice it. But once you're officially scored, it's only one score that counts. So do not run the course twice for a score. Again, we'll go over some of the things that were happening this year in 2025, which was, again, the rope climb. Some gyms had multiple rope climbs. PVC, some gyms had multiple PVCs, multiple rope traverse, even some had multiple rings. Now you can go back and forth on that same set any way. You can go one way on PVC, go the other way on the other way across. That's fine. Same with even quintuple steps. You can go either way in quintuple steps, but you can only have one set of any obstacle. I'll turn this over to Ben. Our sample tester is going to be Sammy Shu. She is our silver medal winner for 2025 pro female athlete. So she will be our tester. Ben will go over individually all the course items. Thank you and good luck for WNAG 2026.
Guys, welcome. This is the rule video for the World Ninja Athlete Games starting in 2026. I'm Coach Ben, who'll be going over the rules, and this is Coach Sammy, who'll be demonstrating. Now, please, I want you to keep in mind that these are the rules for the athlete games, and we try to create every single rule that we can, but we get a lot of questions. There's a lot of gray areas of people trying to come up with different things. For example, using a trampoline to a rope climb. So if it is not in our rule book or on the rules of this video, just because it's a can doesn't mean you should do it. That leads us into our ask it or risk it rule. At the end of the day, you could either ask us or you could risk it by going for something. But remember, as judges, we have the power to disqualify you. So it's always just better to ask us. Starting in 2026, we're going to require all gyms to send us their courses so we can approve them beforehand. And also one other rule we got asked a lot. Please, you can allow chalk, any liquid or dry chalk, but there are no gloves or anything sort of like that that is allowed. And with that, we're going to start going over every single obstacle. And then at the end, Coach Sammy is going to run the entire course to see the flow. All right, the first obstacle is the Q steps. Q steps, there are 5 of them. They're going to be at a 45 to 60 degree angle as they're going down. You must touch all 5 of them. You could use any hands, feet, cat grab. You can even stand on the top and jump across as long as you start before the Q step with that first foot and go through all of them. When you're measuring these out, they must be 16 feet from end to end minimum. And from corner to corner must be 3. So going from here, 3 feet. Coach Sammy, if you could demonstrate. As long as she gets that last one with 1 foot, she get that clear. So going for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She gets that clear. Again, cannot skip, has to use all 5 of them. All right, so this is going to be the PVC roller. Right here, we got a 4-inch schedule 40 PVC pipe. We have 2 tape lines. So from tape line to tape line, this is going to be 6 feet. As judges, and when you're filming, we need to be able to see the athlete have 2 feet on before the tape. They start, and they have to have 2 feet and the pipe past that tape. So if Sammy can demonstrate, so 2 feet clearly, she's going to go. She has to get all the way past for that clear, and she gets that clear before she steps off. We cannot have her go get to the tape and roll backwards. Can't be stepping off there. Has to be clearly past it. All right, next is horizontal rope. So you're going to have 2 platforms. Starting off, first platform and the ending one. These must be 20 feet minimum from platform to platform. All right, so going to be grabbing the rope, right? The rope's going to be a little bit longer than 20 feet, so that way they can go from platform to platform. When they're starting, they have to have 2 feet on there, and then they could go. We've seen athletes try to jump 1 foot and jump for it. That's not going to work. As long as they start the platform with 2 feet, they're fine. They are allowed to jump for it if they want to go for that. That's fine. Sammy, can you demonstrate? Just like that, getting those feet. Of course, if their feet or hands touch the ground, they fall. They don't get the point. They must get to the platform over here and stand up. That would be a clear. If she was to touch it and fall back, we're not going to count it. If she lands and keeps going, that'd be fine. As long as it looks like a clear, she's made it to the platform. All right, so this is the rings. Rings, if you notice for at least the way that we set up everything, they need to be 4 feet across. We attached our rings to our same thing as our laches and our grips. So that's a little help if you guys want to do that at your gyms. But the rings, they're 4 feet to 4 feet, dead hang. There has to be 6 of them going across, so it's going to be 20 feet long. When we are measuring from the bar to the bottom or the top of the ring, it's going to be 18 inches minimum. It can hang lower, but it cannot go any higher. When you're going for the start, there are 2 ways you can start. If you're at the gym, you can have a platform, and you can start on a platform and go down. Or, in our case, if you don't have a platform, Sammy's going to demonstrate. You could have a tape line. It has to be matched even with here. So when they start, they have to lift up their feet. They cannot start right here and then jump for the second one. We've seen before people start with 2 hands. We cannot do that, okay? They're on a platform. They could just go from there. But Sammy, if you could demonstrate. 1 hand or 2 is fine. They cannot skip any rings. And there is that bell at the end. They must touch. Has to have 1 hand and then touch. They cannot skip the ring. They cannot touch the ring and then hit. They must be able to grab, put full weight on there as they hit. They cannot drop. They cannot go to another platform until they hit that bell and get that clear. This bell is within 2 feet of here. Please don't make it harder and have it farther. We have it dangled right there. And that's pretty much it for rings. Next is pegboard. Pegboard, horizontal. We're going to go for 6 feet. Now, this is 6 feet starting from 1 peg to another peg. Same thing, 6 feet from here to here. We need, as judges, to see a tape to signify their start and a tape at the end. So just like we did here, we've seen other gyms do a little square indicating where it's at. That's all fine. The athlete must grab on and get all feet off. You can start demonstrating, Sammy. And that's when they're going to start. Then they could begin. They may skip as many pegs or holes as they want, as long as they get both in, show that's clear, and they could drop. For 7U, they're going to have 2 pegs in the end and 2 pegs in the beginning, and they can have as many pegs as they need in between to monkey bar it. They're not going to be able to go for here. So if you want to skip pegs, and that's fine, as long as they're monkey barring all the way across. Again, still showing that they got the 2 hands on those final ones, so we could get that clear. All right, next is the rope climb. The rope climb, there is a tape 12 feet. From the bottom of that tape needs to be 12 feet. We need the athlete to grab the top, and there's going to be a bell. Now, we need to see the hand above the tape because as judges, if their hand is on the tape, we're not going to count it. We need to see above the tape, hitting that bell to get that cleared. To start the rope climb, we've seen a lot of people grab and then they reset and then go again. So the rule is if their hands don't move, they are fine. But if their hands go above their starting position when their legs are lifted, that's when they have initiated the obstacle. And if they drop their feet, we're not going to count it. So for Sammy, she starts, lifts up her feet, and then puts it down. That's fine. But once she goes here and starts dropping, that's not going to count. For the obstacle, she's going all the way to the top. She gets her hand above that tape. There, clear, right? We could clearly see in the video, her hand is above it. She's hitting that. She may drop and move on to the next one. I need to specify that this is 12 feet from wherever your mat is, not from the ground. So the higher the mat, the higher it's going to have to be, 12 feet from that mat. Next is balance beam. Balance beam needs to be 10 foot across. They are going to start behind a piece of tape and they're going to be walking up it. They cannot use their hands. We cannot have them starting off to the side or anything, but as long as they start behind the tape, they can take as big of a step as they want. They're going to be on a box that's elevated 24 inches or 2 feet, and they have to make a jump across 3 feet to a piece of tape or a platform. So as they're going, if they step off to the side or fall off or jump before the tape, they're not going to get that clear. Sammy, if you could demonstrate. Just like she's going up, makes that jump, there's that clear. Again, 3 feet across, as long as they're not stepping off, they're not using their hands, or they're not like starting halfway up off to the side, they're fine. All right, next are grips. Grips are very similar to the rings, where we need 4 foot gaps from dead hang to dead hang. You are gonna have about 18 inches minimum again with the rope. As they're going, you guys can choose. There are a list of different grips that you have on there. Now, please, as a gym, do not do multiples. And remember that when you're having a grips, say you have a nunchuck, that's going to just be harder for your athletes. So when you're choosing these, try to make it as easy for your athletes as possible. We don't want to see you grabbing the deadbolt, and we don't want to see any of the grips where they have to grab 2 hands and lache. They're going to be grips just like so. So if Sammy can demonstrate, same thing, just as the ring, she has to start on a platform or swing before. She's going across, and similar to the rings, we have that bell. She's going to hold on and touch it. There is a 2 foot, at least 2 feet away or within 2 feet. As long as she hits it, we are good. All right, next are laches. Similar to like the rings and the grips, they're going to be 4 feet all the way across. So with 6 of them, that's going to be 20 feet all the way through. You could use any technique as long as it's with your arms. Please, no feet or anything. You are grabbing. You could do a lache. You could do monkey bars, anything like that. Again, there's going to be a bell at the end. So for Sam, if you could start, we can start on a platform. They're going to start from a ground or something. Make sure they jump up to it. There is a bell at the end. They have to hit before they drop or before they touch any platform or the ground. For the 7U course, laches, they're going to be skipping it, but instead they do have to run the distance. So they have to touch. Say for our setup, they have the grip right here. They have to still touch, run the distance, and then go to the next obstacle. They can't just skip it completely. All right, next is going to be cliffhanger. Cliffhanger must be 16 feet minimum from the edge of the tape to the other edge of the tape. There needs to be some room for the athlete to hang with both hands. They have to lift up their feet, so they're putting their full weight on the cliffhanger. Then they could start. We don't want to be jumping towards it or using any cheating methods like that. There will be a bell at the end I'll explain for in a second. But Sammy, if you could start demonstrating. 2 hands, feet are lifted, then she goes across all the way to tape right here. And there is a bell that they have to lift up to. That bell is 1 foot across and 1 foot high. So they will have to either climb or do a shimmy method to jump up and hit it. Looking at the cliffhangers, that they can be about 2-inch thickness. And we do not want to see more than 1 foot gaps, at least twice. These are a little bit smaller than that, so these are clear. But if there's a giant 1 foot gap, just like for here, there should be no more than 2 of those during that time. 1, go. 3.